Well, there you have it, folks. This is what a Challenger Widebody looks like without the front bumper. And oh my God, I don't even know what to describe of it. It's like a plastic surgery is about to happen. Schwazy gang, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am super stoked because in today's video, we're going to be turning the Hellcat into HellRider. In all seriousness, we are turning the Hellcat into HellRider. So I guess you could call it HellKat or HellRider. Let's call it HellRider. What we're going to be doing in today's video is installing LED lights into the grille of the car. So when I'm going to be driving at night or going to car shows, you're going to have this backlight here and it's going to look really cool, really menacing. And I'm really excited. It's something I've wanted to do for a while. I did something similar on the Scat Pack. If you guys remember, I did shaker lights and I really liked how it turned out. So this is kind of the equivalent for the Hellcat. But in order to do this installation, I unfortunately have to remove the front bumper of my car. And it's a perfectly good bumper. It's in the perfect position right now. And this idiot is gonna have to remove it and try to put it back in the same position. So that is going to be very interesting. I've reached out to a few people who have this mod and they said they had to remove the bumper to do it. And I believe it because I initially attempted just to shimmy the lights into the front radiator section, but there's just no access for it. So I'm gonna have to remove the front bumper. I think that this may be the first and only wide body Challenger front bumper removal. There is a narrow body Challenger, there's quite a few. There's also a wide body Charger, but there is no wide body Challenger removal on YouTube that I know of, but I am not going to claim that I am an expert and I figured this out all by myself. The video that I actually utilized for this disassembly and assembly, I'll put up on the screen right now and in the description below. The individual that did the install video that I watched for assistance in this actually did it on a narrow body Challenger. And I think they are very, very similar. I mean, aside from this section, they're exactly the same. And so if I run into any difficulties or differences between that video, I'll make sure to note them in today's video. Otherwise, I'm gonna follow his step-by-step guide because it's a really good video and I gotta give credit where credit is due. Once we get the bumper disassembled off of the front of the car, then I'm going to install the lights. Now, the lights that I chose for today's video are these car atmosphere lights. I'll also put them in my affiliate links down below. I appreciate all the support for the affiliate links. Obviously, Amazon pays me a small commission off of those, which I use to reinvest back into the channel. So anytime you guys support me through the affiliate sites is also very appreciated. But I found these lights actually on a different YouTube video where an individual did it on a narrow body Charger. They installed lights in the hood scoop and then in the grille as well. And they used this specific light. And so I figured it's pretty cool. It's app controlled, so it'll be perfect for the installation. Once we get the bumper removed, I'll show you how I did the wiring. And then, well, we'll put the bumper back in place and show you what it looks like. So without further ado, let's start something that I really have tried to avoid doing, and that is removing the bumper on my perfectly good 2020 Hellcat. All right, we're first gonna start with the wheel well. So the first thing I'm gonna have to do is turn the wheel to the right so that I have better access to this front section. All right, so now we have the wheel well opened up. We're actually gonna remove these rivets right here. There's one right here, there's another one right here, another one right here. These are plastic rivets. And then there's actually one kind of a push pin type of rivet down there. I'm gonna try to focus on it if I can, and my camera's not catching it. But that is the rivet that we're also going to remove. Like I said, it's a push pin style of rivet, so we're actually going to use a flathead screwdriver and just pull it out, and that one should come out. These ones we may have to break, but I have replacement ones that I will link in the description below as well. Now this one you're going to want to keep. This is the push pin one that was located behind the tire over here that's not really visible on camera. But this one you're gonna wanna keep because you can reuse it. The other ones, unfortunately, they're kind of busted. But like I said, I have replacement ones that are more similar to this style. Okay, so now that we've got the rivets removed, we're actually going to pull back this wheel well cover, and we're gonna try to access this bolt right up here. This bolt is a 10mm socket. So we're gonna use that to remove this. And then there's actually another bolt located all the way in here, like right in this section. So I'm gonna try to reach my arm up through there and try to access it. There's really not much space here, but first step, we're gonna remove this bolt and then go from there. And there it is. Now for the next step, I'm going to reach my arm in there and get the 10mm bolt that is sticking out in here. Unfortunately, due to the fender flare, I can't really show you on camera what it looks like. You have wider wheels and you have a fender flare, so it's just a combo of bad positioning. So I can't show you what it looks like. I actually pulled my arm in through here and I felt the bolt. I know it's a 10mm bolt from that video I'm referencing as I'm doing this removal. So I'm gonna show you how I do it on camera, but you guys aren't actually going to see the bolt that's in there. Okay, so we've got this little monster out from right in this section right here, and it was not easy, that's for sure. It definitely came with some scuffs on the arm and scratches here or there, but we had to reach in through here, and I used a long socket 10mm. So if you guys are doing this, it's a long bolt in here, so you're gonna wanna use the long socket 10mm. Another suggestion, word of advice that I haven't seen mentioned elsewhere is if you actually remove this plastic housing, which is pretty easy to remove, you just pop it out and then this section kind of just disattaches. If you actually reach in here, you can feel the bolt inside of there, and it's nice to have the access from this side because I actually saved this bolt from falling into the bumper by reaching it in through here rather than trying to reach it from there. Obviously, a recommendation is if you have some sort of swivel socket wrench, you just do that. But if you don't, if you're limited with what you have, I recommend removing this plastic cover and reaching in through here to save the bolt from falling and to help you secure the right position. One thing to note, it didn't seem like this bolt was on there very tight. I took like one turn with the socket wrench and all of a sudden it was loose. I was even surprised. I thought maybe I wasn't using the right size, but it turns out no, it was the right size. They just didn't really tighten it. So once I put it back in, I'm gonna make sure it's a little bit tighter than where it was. But the next thing we're actually gonna do is remove some bolts underneath the splitter over here. Those connect the bumper to pretty much the main body of the car. So I'm gonna try to get a good angle of what bolts we're gonna be removing. Okay, so the bolts we're gonna be removing are these ones right here. They run all along this splitter. It's kind of the connection between the splitter and the rest of the car back here. This I think they use for service, so they remove this to do oil changes. So there's quite a few over here. I don't know exactly how many, but we're gonna remove these ones, and they're just about a foot in from the front of the splitter. So that's the ones we're gonna remove, and then we're gonna move on to the next step. One thing to note is this is a 7mm socket, which we're gonna use to remove those bolts. Okay, so we've got the driver's side done. We've got pretty much all of the bolts underneath the bumper, and as you can see, it's already kind of moving a little bit. Obviously, we haven't removed anything up top, so we're gonna do that next. And then we'll probably do the passenger side last because I really don't wanna reach into that section over here again. It's kind of annoying, but we'll do the top of the bumper and then we'll move on to the passenger side. Okay, so we're back at the top of the bumper. As you saw earlier, we removed this plastic cover over here to get access to the bolt that was over here. The next thing we're gonna do is actually remove these body panel clips over here. 1, 2, 3. We're not gonna touch these ones that are touching the frame, we're just gonna remove these ones, 1, 2, 3, and then the same 3 on the other side. And then another thing we're gonna do is actually remove the bolt that's in right here. Let me try to get a light. As you can see, that bolt right there, it's the same one and the same size, so it's a 10 millimeter that was located in this section over here. So we just gotta remove this one, and then the driver's side is pretty much done, and then we're gonna focus on the passenger side. Okay, there you go. We got this one off, and again, it didn't seem like it was held on at all. It took one small spin with very little effort of the socket wrench, and this thing came off. So just goes to show from the factory, they don't always do a fantastic job. Now, I get it that if you over tighten it, it could break the plastic, but I figured it would be a little bit tighter than what it was. Okay, so we have just finished the driver's side. We pretty much finished the entire top portion. I'm going to quickly, quote unquote, do the passenger side. I'm not gonna show you how to do it because it's essentially the same, but I will jump to the section where you're gonna be removing a plug that pretty much has all the wiring for the front bumper. So that part I will jump to, but other than that, it's a repeat of the driver's side, so I'll let you rewind if you want to rewatch that. All right, another somewhat difficult side. I finally got this bolt off of this section over here. That's definitely the hardest part. Second to removing those stupid body panel clips. There's definitely a tool for those. I just don't have one, so I'd recommend investing in one if you have the opportunity to do so. Otherwise, you're gonna have to struggle like I did. But finally, the whole bumper should be ready to come off. That's gonna be the next step. I was gonna show you the wiring, but I'm actually gonna slide the bumper out just a little bit so I can understand exactly which wires I need to remove before I show you that step. All right, I'm gonna cross myself and hope that the bumper actually comes off this time. I can't even imagine how annoying it's gonna be putting it back on. I guess we'll find out in about 5 seconds. All right, we're about halfway done removing the bumper, but I wanted to know one big difference between the narrow body and the wide body, and that is that the wide body has a wiring harness that goes on both the driver and passenger side, whereas the narrow body will only probably have it on the passenger side. So as you can see here, let me shine a light. You see there is a wiring harness down in there you're gonna have to disconnect, and the same applies to the passenger side. As you can see there, there is a wiring harness you're gonna have to remove. So that is one big difference between the narrow body from the video I'm referencing. So just make sure you note that before you pull the entire thing off. Well, that is what the Hellcat looks like without the front bumper. That's kind of a unique look. I think that's how you can best describe it. I don't know how else to describe that. That's kind of a funny looking face. But one word of caution, these wiring harnesses for the side marker lights were a bigger pain than I expected, to be honest. So just a fair warning on that. It takes a little bit more effort than you would think. But man, that front end looks pretty interesting. I don't even know what to make of it. I'm kind of half tempted to drive around with this front end and see what people think, like see what reaction I get. This is where the bumper is right now. It looks pretty interesting, pretty cool. This doesn't look as weird as this does, to be honest, which makes sense because this is kind of the front end of the car. You know, the inside, nothing to really look at, just a bunch of vents and clips and some random writing, like they have just random like chalk, it almost looks like, and then they have random chalk over here. So it's kind of interesting that they could have put whatever they wanted here and only this idiot would find out. So That's what the inside looks like. This is what the outside looks like. You've got, you know, the headlight holes. It's just kind of an interesting look because this is such a maybe old school look to cars, because typically bumpers are a little bit different than this. But I like how it looks, and it's pretty interesting. This is where we're going to stop for the day. I'm going to take a break and then tackle it again tomorrow and start with the LED lights that I'm going to be installing in the grill. And with that catastrophe, I am also going to end today's video. This is actually going to be a two-parter, so a little series, so you guys can see this conversion to a HellRider. For now, I just want to see people's reactions to the front end of this. Like, should I just drive this car around without the bumper and see what people think? Because I don't think you can really tell this is a Challenger from the front end. I want to hear your comments down below. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, I don't know what you're waiting for. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you know when part 2 of this two-part series is released. Also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Schwazy_. Like always, stay Schwazy, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day.